can you connect for me how you see the sexual revolution's onset and all of that's chaos to attachment breakdowns and the trauma that, you know, started to shift into American society in part because of war, quite frankly.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
and technological changes.
Absolutely. Americans always had a puritanical streak, but when you look back at the 1900 era, right, 1900s, 1910s, you're not seeing that insanity that they had in the 1950s, right? But as families began breaking down, I saw this data just the other day, families began breaking down, and so there was no safety or stability at home. So people actually moved out and started getting married younger, really young in the 1940s and 1950s. And then the mother was alone in the home. And it was so bad because women aren't meant to be alone in a home and take care of everything alone on their own. They're meant to have their mom, their aunt, their grandmother.
Highly depressing.
Right?
Yeah.
You have children. Like after you have children, are you ready to run a home completely by yourself day and night? Right? What would it be like to have a team of older women around just helping you nap?
I mean, I have that, thanks be to God, because we've really intentionally built that. And I feel very privileged that I have that. But if I did not have that, it's hard.
Right.
Yes.
Everyone, when you talk about a traditional lifestyle, everyone wants to look at the 1950s, but it was not traditional in any way, shape, or form. It was based on extensive trauma from three decades of insanity, of people falling apart and then getting married at 15 and freaking out when it didn't work out well. And then exploding out of that and saying, I gave up my life to this person, and both of us from broken families who didn't make it work. Sometimes love doesn't work out. Marriage is for idiots. Let's not bother. And that's where the sexual revolution comes, is women saying, why should I sacrifice everything for someone who will never love me? And I have to be alone in a home, to the point that we have mother's helper, right, that comes along, you take it and you just zone out for the rest of the day. That's where psych meds, in some ways, many of them started. It was just to dose women up during the day because they couldn't handle being fully alone. And
that's the Betty Friedan, right? Feminine Mystique. Like, what is this strange thing that's hitting suburban women? They're so unhappy. Well, the problem is children. The problem is marriage. It's like, maybe it's actually you're alone by yourself all day in a home and you like have this very disordered attachment style. And so you're just miserable.
Right.
Like that, maybe that's it. Maybe actually children are, and your husband are part of the answer, but you're not connecting it.
Well,
it's not connected.
When you look at how the female brain operates, even within feelings, even within those pieces, the female brain, it's fascinating. It's designed to integrate with other female brains and process how you feel in a safe, loving setting. Your emotional right brain gets agitated, but your logical left brain diminishes. You go to another woman who's calm and her left brain is high, her emotional brain is low. You begin processing. And as you do, she's looking at you, she's smiling, she's reflecting, and you feel cared for. Your emotional agitation goes down as oxytocin goes up, serotonin goes up, dopamine goes up. This releases GABA into your system, which suppresses cortisol. You feel better as you process your emotions and you know that you're loved. Your logical brain begins to fully re-engage, and now you understand how you feel. Now you understand what to do. You find your answers. And then that woman feels close to you because you trusted her. Women are meant to interlock like this and connect, but only in a securely attached fashion. Therapy, by the way, has usurped this role. Now you pay a therapist for this instead of the woman in your life. But women are designed to do this lovingly with each other. In the 1950s, that was lost. Women stopped doing that because they were utterly alone, overwhelmed in a home, taking care of everybody, slaving away 20 plus hours a day, 4 hours of sleep at night. It was never supposed to be that way. Women should never have to endure that.
Like, just going back to what you're saying earlier about the boomers, 65% secure attached. Today, it's the opposite. Now it's actually for Gen Z, 65% insecure attached or some broken attachment style. Why?
How far back do you want to go?
As far back as we need to.
Okay, let's go about 125 years back to the year 1900. In the year 1900, the majority of Americans were living in rural areas, in large families, large farming communities. They lived in extended family networks, but also what we call kith and kin networks, additional networks around them. So they knew people. It wasn't perfect and idyllic. We don't romanticize this era, but it's appropriate for building secure attachment. Because if your parent dies, you don't simply go into hardcore starvation survival mode. Someone else steps in and takes care of you. If your parent is traumatized, your aunt, your uncle, your grandparents, everybody's there. So you have massive redundancy in your system. It's very difficult to get insecure attachment because you know you're loved in these thriving networks. Okay. This is how we're designed to be built and designed to be raised. Not perfect, but redundant so that everything is great. Okay. Now, when you fast forward through World War I, which is a meat grinder, where we lost an overwhelming amount of men, where we said we have the lost generation of men who either were murdered over there in the wars and died from shrapnel bombs that killed them and their entire group of childhood friends, or men who came back seeing that and couldn't function anymore. Right. And then you have the Dust Bowl, the Great Depression. You have this period of exhaustion and destruction. You have Hemingway and all of that sort of thing. And then rolling in forward into that, you have financial destruction until World War II, where we lose another generation of men. And all of these women seeing men fail them at home because the men are just checked out because they can't function, or they're seeing men just dying by the hundreds and they're losing them. So women have learned don't trust men, don't rely on them for the last 100 years. We have 4 or 5 generations of women saying don't rely on men. They let you down or they will die, right? So we've got feminism now. And that's men and women not being able to connect. So you've got the early generations. Love was survival. I will feed my children with the blood of my own body, the pelican symbol in Catholicism of the pelican ripping itself open to feed its flesh and blood to its children. Like that's those parents in that generation. You get to the boomers and they were handed piles of rusty nails as like inheritance. Like I've saved these for you. You might need these someday, right? And half of them, maybe 65% got it. 35% didn't and rebelled and said, why are you yelling at me? Why are you angry all the time? Why are you emotionally shut down? Why don't we feel like a family? America switched from rural into urban, and then families went into these big factory settings where they were ripped apart and destroyed. We have the Knights of Columbus come forward at this point to start trying to build financial safety for people who are killed and maimed in machines and can't take care of their families anymore. We lose our safety nets. We lose our extended families. We lose our kith and kin networks. We lose religion along the way. We lose everything along the way. Okay. And as this continues to grow through generations, now we've got the boomers who are tripling their divorce rates now in their 70s and 80s. They call it the gray divorce wave because they learned feelings is all that matters. My family hated me. They were quiet and miserable growing up. I will never tolerate that again. Me, right? So they tore apart families, Generation X, Generation Y, and then they got their second batch of family and said, I will make these kids stronger and better and smarter. And they built the millennials who hate them. And then going forward, they do.
It's so true though, but you're right, because the boomer generation, it's like they're rejecting the kind of, the silent, the greatest generation, like stuff it up, be tough. And they're like, we're like cry, like feel, like divorce, do what you need to do, be you. Like, I mean, they still have their emotional issues, their attachment issues. They're not like pretending like they're super healthy. A lot of them love therapy, which is actually interesting.
It is. But here's what they did especially wrong. When they got divorced, they said, sometimes love just doesn't work. And that's a message that has resonated through the millennials. Hey, sometimes love doesn't work out. You just got to move on. You got to dust off, towel yourself off and move on to the next one. And then we built all these networks based around that concept that love is meaningless and pointless. And sacrifice is stupid. And having children is a burden. And so we built that in the millennials and then into the Zoomers now. And the millennials gave up because they were being told, hey, sacrifice everything for your family, but your family will do nothing for you. And Gen Z came along and said, no one's going to help anybody. So survive. They're essentially,
I'm going to go be a creator and do my own thing.
Right.
Like
Gen Z is growing up in the rubble of a society. It's just that the machines are keeping us alive. So they have never seen a functioning family. Their concept of family is sitcoms and movies, where we have dad is an idiot and mom hates her life. That's their concept of marriage now. So Gen Z doesn't know what to do. So they're reinventing marriage, by the way, and pretending that they've invented new concepts for it and giving it different names, which is fascinating. But we're seeing this rise of starvation. They want what has been with us all along. It's just 100 years of insanity and brokenness escalating to today where we are, where we say marriage is pointless because we think marriage is about feelings, and it's not.